Welcome to Diaries of a Data Scientist, our podcast in which we share about what's important to break into data science, provide valuable insights also for senior data scientists, and invite interesting guests from different data science areas. We're 𝐬𝐨𝐿 and Kate. We're both data scientists and mentors working in industry, and we are sharing here our thoughts and experiences. Let's go.
Hi guys, this is Diaries of a Data Scientist with the episode today number 23. And we have covered in the past a lot of technical sides about generative AI, about the open sources and etc. And that is why today we decided to talk a little bit about the soft skills and a business side of the data science industry. And pretty much one of the reasons why we're doing the episode today is I hope that you saw one of my posts on LinkedIn that I put out recently, where pretty much I had a privilege and a very nice chance of connecting to the data science teams here in Brazil. And we had 1 hour of talking about different problems, ethical side, about the computer vision, or for example, what is the trends that we can foresee for 2025. But also one of the questions was how we are in Germany going to increase trust in AI solutions for the business guys and experts in there. And therefore today, we're coming with you to talk about this topic. So 𝐬𝐿, I know that you're an expert of enablement in this part. Have you ever been asked about how to increase trust in AI?
I would say very regularly, actually. Yes. So this is a big topic, and I think also, and I love that many data scientists are coming with that question as well, because they just made that same experience of working in projects and also, fighting maybe some backlash, even that they had the feeling they couldn't really help the business partner as much as they would like to help them, because there was a lack of trust either in the solution that is being created, or even the personal competencies of that person, being maybe even being challenged. And I think this can be an incredibly tough situation. It's holding back on the potential that the solution could provide. And so there are some definitely soft reasons, but also very, say, financially sound reasons of why having a trustful relationship with your business partner and then also helping them to find trust in the solutions that you provide is important.
And I think that is really also interesting. This is one of the dimensions, I guess, of power of diversity, when you kind of realize that this question is popping up not only in one concrete company, but also perhaps one concrete country, but you're doing this. It's happening in different continents. And I remember when I was having this talk with the data scientists back in the days, I was really shocked because, for example, these people, they are not in the digital department, so they are very much close to the business side. They're doing the data science for the agricultural aspects, and therefore they would be really curious to understand whether we do have the same problems. For example, if a team of data scientists is embedded in the technical proper departments, or if the team of data scientists is embedded in the business departments, where I would say that the problems are the same, popping up here and there. And talking about trust in AI, I was asked really concrete questions, and maybe right now I can read them aloud for you guys as well, so you will understand kind of the details of this part. For example, how can we make the business trust us and our models? That was one of the first questions that we were asked.
So from the perspective of the data scientist, right?
Of the data scientist, of course, yes. The second question, how can we translate the technical side so that the business people understand? And for example, explaining statistical techniques or algorithms in the way that they understand and trust the results that we delivered. And the third part, how can we provide to the business, how can we prove to the business that the pattern found from the models is what they requested, or that the model we delivered fulfills their needs. And I can definitely say that these are the questions that I'm facing quite frequently, working with different use cases and business guys. And I guess Yasmin, the same, what's happening for you when you are a data scientist, and probably even the same is happening for you right now as a team lead, because you would have data scientists that would be facing the same questions, right? So
yeah, definitely.
And I'm just a little bit curious in here. So does it feel a little bit different when you are as a data scientist versus when you are a team lead of data scientists facing these questions and trying to have a solution to these ones?
Yeah, so I think the question that actually is beyond that is, where's the trust issues coming from? Is it connected, is it inherently rooted in just general about data science and AI, and that being a topic where the person not trusting is like just too far away from? Or is it more a topic of having the feeling there's like a highly technical person opposite of you, and like you anyway maybe don't understand what you're talking about, so just in general like you're taking your distance? And if it's more the latter, I think as a team lead, and thus having a little bit more managerial experience, but also like just coming with the position, honestly, it's still in different cultures also has a different setting. So I did have the feeling that the challenges or the battles that you're fighting, obviously, as a data scientist, are different than when you're coming there as a team lead, talking about and connecting maybe on a slightly different level with that person. And I think the kind of intuition is that they expect a team lead to have this more business objective kind of mindset, and maybe connecting more on this different business topic side.
Yeah.
Which might be true, but not necessarily needs
Not
to be
necessarily
true.
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think overall, sometimes also it just helps to also, collect these kind of experience in a team. So that's also why it's so important to have that exchange within a team, within the AI community, because as you said, many, many people across organizations and countries are facing that. And then it's very good to have a more concrete strategy around what you can do in this situation. This is exactly what this episode is about.
For sure. And, I really want to, you said a really nice sentence around the data scientists. And one of the problems, as I can see, why is that might be the challenge for us, is because we are technical people, right? This is not something very natural for us, or at least this is not something that you would have in the universities when people will be giving you a degree in this matter, and nobody will be teaching you in the way how to communicate, how to better do the value proposition, and etc. And therefore, it's for in my mind kind of connected very much to the next space of why do we even have this trend? Why are we even talking about this? Since data science is a pretty technical position, so you wouldn't have anything except mathematics, statistics, and computer science pretty much in there. How come we do have a lot of communicating, a lot of, trust issues, and etc., and so on and so forth? And I feel that it's also really important to get deep, a little bit dive in here to give people the understanding of what the heck pretty much is happening with the industry right now. And, this is maybe something that I always tell to also my students and mentees, that I see that data science field became more inclusive instead of that it was exclusive for the last 5, I guess, maybe years. Exclusive means here not VIP, but exclusive means that only people from this background experience would understand, would work with this, and etc. So it's a little bit different one. And right now it become an inclusive because firstly we do have a lot of hype around that position, that field, from the business perspectives and also from the private perspectives. And also I guess I see this huge exponential growth in the interest from the business side, after 2022, after the Gen AI was pretty much released to the masses, that has shifted
through ChatGPT, you mean?
through ChatGPT, of course, yes. And so that kind of shifted the entire industry to be more inclusive and more focusing on the people outside.
Yes, absolutely. I think you touched on the exactly two right points. That nowadays AI is everywhere. It's like in the mass media. Everyone has an opinion about that, and this was definitely not the case 5 years ago. That's like on one side, I think very good because the bubble is now open up to be way more inclusive, as you said. But on the other hand, that also means that many people also, through forming an opinion, might have separate concerns or trust issues connecting to AI for very, very different reasons, right? And that also means that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, in your company, you were able just to go ahead with your, I don't know, credit risk assessment, which was back then already powered by statistics and machine learning. And maybe nobody really cared about that as long as it was working fine. And maybe nowadays, if you would introduce that, people would ask, is that powered by AI? And what does this mean for me? And where's the training data coming from? And what does this actually mean? Is it like done in a fair way because they've learned about this topic and it's now at the top of their mind
to ask those questions?
Yes, which can be a potential like opportunity, but also it can be like leading to limitations. I mean, opportunity because people who understand it are way more likely to accept and also really use that tool in the intended way. But out of that questions, as we already heard, they may form also some resistance about that tooling. So I think that's a super, super interesting topic. And people and our listeners might ask themselves, why are you even coming with this topic? That's what the role of your product owner or your business solution consultant is there for. Why would the data scientists need to build a trust in the solution? And what would you say to that, Kate?
That's not a very simple question. I would say that it very much depends. If you are a data scientist that is working with the business, it doesn't matter, with any product. I mean, the beauty of being a data scientist is actually create the product that people will use later on, right? And if you're not succeeding in the final stage, so what you just created the product, or you just created the algorithm that is doing and performing amazing and etc., but people are not going to use this product. I mean, for me, it canceling my entire hard work that I was doing for the past maybe 6 months. And that just kind of leaves me with the question, is that wrong something with the algorithm, or is there wrong something with me as a person trying to connect with people, or where is the problem arises? So that is why for me, I'm always driving by the fulfillment and by the providing help to the business. And therefore, I see that definitely being as a huge part of data science job right now and in the future, that if you really want people to use your solutions later, you need to go through those parts, you want that or not, through a little bit of the education, a little bit of the mentoring, a little bit of the explanation, and them in order to use it later. So it was not for nothing. Do you have a different opinion on this, Yasmin?
Yeah, maybe I was more thinking along the direction of if you have a project team set up with different roles, right? Would it really be the responsibility of the data scientist to do all of that communication and so on? And I think that is a very idealistic picture in the sense that it's not the reality of many data scientists that you have this full-fledged team and you have a business solution consultant handling the whole interaction with the partners, with the customers, with the client requesting, and also as mentioned, through the increased awareness about AI, I think there is generally, and that is great, more interest also in what is the solution looking like? How is it actually working, right? And that is when maybe also the data scientist needs to step in and does need to present and does need to provide that kind of details, right? So I think it's a too easy way out to say, oh, I'm as a data scientist, I will never be in that put into that situation where I actually need to handle that, because I do have my product owner, my I don't know, my business solution consultant, they will handle it for me. So I think better safe than sorry. So prepare yourself for this. And as mentioned, having seen different kind of organizations and companies, I think it's just not the reality that you would always have this full-fledged team and you would work among 20 other data scientists and you have this whole, ecosystem around you. And I think in many companies, right, it can happen that you're maybe the one data scientist or the 3-4 data scientists in your organization or in your smaller medium-sized company, and then you absolutely have to handle way more from the whole life cycle, including the data engineering, the deployment, tasks that you would maybe otherwise would also not put into the scope of the data scientist.
Yeah, that is why, I said in the very beginning that it has a lot of shades and industries touching with, because I totally and definitely understand the point of a data scientist in here as a tech person that just, I don't know, with the huge background in mathematics, did, I don't know, bachelor, master, PhD in mathematics, doesn't want to talk to people, totally introverted person, and etc. And that out of sudden you have to go ahead and like to the spotlight and talk. That is why I totally understand your guys in this part. But Yasmin, as you've very well like mentioned, that if it is a small size company, you would not have that much of resources in your team to be totally diverse in order to split it through the different responsibilities, and you will be pretty much one person in the one. That's the yes.
Yeah, and I think that's where universities are coming from when they are designing their track and the modules, right? I think they're coming from this more idealistic picture, in that sense that they obviously want to focus on giving you the skills around maths and statistics and like showing you the hottest trends in machine learning, and also prepare you for the academic work around the topics, right? And I think that is just a little bit lacking then, that I would call it consulting mindset, where you absolutely have to also learn how to excel in giving that presentations, learn how to communicate a very complicated topic in a simple ways, without like completely, distorting the actual meaning around things. And this kind of consulting mindset, I think that's what is a little bit neglected in many, say, very say deep tech focused programs.
Yeah. For example, for me, it was definitely this part that I didn't see anything except huge formulas and a lot of mathematics, so nothing pretty much in between. But also, what guys, if you got a little bit afraid that you will need to speak up and etc., please do not rush out of the field, because you will definitely find your spot in really, really huge enterprises like, I don't know, perhaps Amazon, Google, where they do have huge technical and IT parks. And I believe, I'm not sure though, but I do believe and do they have this expectation that in there, if you're not a talkable guy, you will definitely find your spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just about choosing the right domain, choosing the company, the structure that is fitting for you. And I think you can really have like a broad mixture of the skills. And so there's no, I would say no data scientist position is alike. And even within an organization, there will be positions that are more heavy on, say, the core programming and say modeling around data, finding the models, versus maybe the more, okay, I need to also interact with the other roles, with the client, and so on. So today's episode is for the latter.
Yes, so maybe we can go like 2 steps back and also remember and recall what Yasmin, you said a couple of minutes before, and I very much love your kind of thinking process in the way that we do have that problem with the trust issues from the business side, not only because we were never trained to communicate well and etc. But it's also because of that inclusive versus exclusive trend that we do have right now, which actually created, in my opinion, a lot of different ways and possibilities for the people how they would perceive AI technologies. Not AI, I hate to say that, that's really marketing, data science and machine learning technologies in this sense. So, and therefore, in my experience, I had seen different categories of those people. So it is not always one, like personal kind of prototype that that person will like hate or doesn't know about the data science part, will not have trust because this and that, and etc. We do have different categories in there. And I guess one of the understanding of how you would build the trust between like with you and business side is to understand the roots, why this is coming from, and also as well as to understand the personal prototype in parentheses. Yes, we don't have those prototypes in the actual, I don't know, scientific papers in order to work with this. So, and therefore, right now, I would love to introduce them and talk a little bit about the different prototypes from our perspectives. And maybe I can start with one of the prototypes that I have seen quite often. And to my opinion, that was one of the hardest one for me, honestly. So those are the people, so they think that they know the shit about a field. So those are the people that actually do, like, they're incredibly smart. They do have at least PhDs. They were studying like natural science, so which means chemistry, biology. In their PhDs, usually they would implement maybe Python or C++ or programming languages. They also know a lot of statistics because they had to do a lot of modeling back in the days. And therefore, what you are doing, the projects with this category, what they would think is that since they were working with these parts, since they have already touched, I don't know, maybe some machine learning algorithms, they know a lot of statistics and etc. They would, firstly, they will understand the opportunities of a data science field, but at the same time, since they don't have the full understanding of the data science field, its different subfields and etc., they will be lacking some knowledge, but they will not accept it or they will not see this. And
So this
here,
is kind of the know-it-all type. Can we summarize it as that? So the person thinking they know it all.
yes, but in fact, they are not. And that is why while you're having different prefixes with them, you will be having a little bit of what I will call the, I don't like this phrase, but I think it's one of the most, I don't know, describe it here, sort of a little bit of the power force or power talks, when they usually will, because they think that they know all and everything, they also would think immediately with this alongside that they don't need your services, and that probably you are doing something that they could have done by themselves. And therefore, what I saw at my at least discussions, that they would have a lot of trust issues, but not to the AI, but probably to you specifically or to the management, why even they have to collaborate with data scientists if they can do this already by themselves. And here, one of the learnings for me was, that was a pretty hard school for an expert, is that firstly, what you really, really need to understand, guys, is that if a person has this amazing education and amazing degree, but it's not in very specific field, as for example, data science, statistics, mathematics, computer science, physics, and etc., they would still study these parts as the applied part, the optional, the additional parts to their main subject. And this is a little bit different. And one of the also argument that I see a lot, I guess, Yasmin, you also can support me in here. We were in different technical interviews, not together, separately, but we had kind of the same with you. I remember feedback that we saw a lot of amazing people that are falling in this category. They would apply crazy algorithms in their PhDs and etc. But once you start asking them really, really simple, basic, foundational questions of the data science field, for example, like what is the bias versus variance? This is something actually what I was asked yesterday, one of the PhD guys in that finished the physics. What is the difference between supervised and unsupervised machine learning? What is the ensemble learning and etc.? So they will crash apart in this sense. So my kind of message in here for you, firstly, to never doubt yourself when you feel and have projects with this people prototype. Secondly, if you do have it, please always think of that as a point of growth, because those people are going to definitely rate you as a more mature and confident expert, because you will need to a little bit having cases, arguing with them, and etc. And thirdly, and again, it's really, really important to remember that if it was not a pure degree in that specific dimension or subject, it means that it was optional, additional, and it was not in depth as you would have got it in the university. I think it was too long, but I guess for me it was very important to explain that.
I feel like this is a really also emotional topic, right? And where
Yes.
that also meant maybe some hardships, having to gone through this kind of experiences. But as you said, it's a growth opportunity in the end. And I think the important part here is to successfully interact with that type of stakeholder is to validate their experience and their knowledge while not diminishing your own. So I think it's very important to also make clear that you absolutely respect the kind of schooling and education that they went through, while also clearly stating your competence and your experience, and not, not making yourself smaller than you are, and basically giving them also, for example, that could look like telling Kate, I'm a big fan of what you did, like in that area, and I think that is an amazing work. But here we have a different kind of, say, problem or situation at hand, where we can actually and need to maybe get back to some more conceptual things, where I definitely have with my education a way more holistic maybe picture out, and I have learning X, Y, Z from other projects I did so far,
Yeah.
where this was working great. So can you give me a little bit of, say, trust forward here, so I can show you how I would approach the topic, and then going to this more and more stepwise feedback loop of showing them incremental results and convincing them by the results, but I think it's very important to not hurt the professional pride of that person, and also validate that they have like great experience. Yeah. But also, right, don't get to the same level. Yeah, don't be intimidated, but also don't get to the same level throwing around your degrees, like I have a, I don't know, double degree in maths and so on. So don't get to that level. Show them with the results, and convince with staying professional, and explaining your approach, explaining why you've been choosing that approach also.
Yes, definitely. So, do we have something else? Also, the other prototypes. That was just one of the many that we're about to discuss.
On the maybe opposite track, we have people who are not really knowing a lot about AI, data science, or related fields at all. Maybe they heard about it. Maybe they also formed some biases based on the small amount of, say, exposure that they had towards the topic. And they maybe through that small exposure formed some beliefs that are hurting the collaboration, in the sense that they are concerned about many very fundamental things, like, will AI at some point in time replace my position? Having this picture of Terminator movie in their mind, like, where's this ending? What kind of, say, effects will that have on societies? And again, it's not about diminishing those beliefs, because I think these concerns, they are coming from a place where they are worried, and where also there are existential questions around AI. that we also have to solve. So it's not about like just, erasing those beliefs, but it's about maybe getting to a root cause and also helping them to differentiate. Yes, we have to solve these topics around AI, but it shouldn't maybe stop us from this, say, in that small niche, in this narrow AI field, to use the data that we have to come into better business decisions, right? So I think here really the strategy would be to differentiating the two things and where the beliefs are coming from. What do you think about that kind of, say, type?
Yeah, for sure. Because while you were talking, I kind of instantly remember one of the article. I think a couple of weeks ago, I was scrolling some news in a newspaper, and I saw a lot of articles like, will AI replace data scientists? I don't know, by 20 whatever something year, and etc. And I can totally understand where those concerns are coming from, because as you said, right, those are the people that don't have interest or a lot of time to go to this field, because like they're having their like amazing life bubble that they're like living in, and that is why it's not really much touching them. But at some point of time, they might have, or like might seen different news on the newspapers, or somebody told them in the coffee corner in the office, and etc. And that is why this is how they got into these beliefs, and this is also how they got into these fears and concerns. And as a data scientist on the turf axis with these people, you definitely need to understand and validate this part. Why? Because you might have this kind of conversation. This is something what I had a couple of years ago. So I was sent to a team meeting with the business people that were not really into data science field, and they didn't really know what is that. And I was sitting in there. I was like, okay, we can do a lot of stuff. I did a presentation explaining the applications and etc. And I was like, how can we help you? And they were like thinking, what can you offer? So pretty much that was this kind of I don't know, point fingering conversation from a technical part. We were like, okay, what are your cases? What are your struggles? What can we automate, and etc. And instead of receiving the answer, or maybe like you can do like, maybe we can wipe out all Excels and put them into like data warehouse and etc. They would ask, what can you offer immediately? That was also one of the parts of the conversation that I had with these people. So that is why it's you will just get stuck. Sorry.
Yeah. And
right in there.
It could also be that this kind of stakeholder made previous, say, frustrating experiences with other data-based tooling or AI-based solutions, which were not constructed well, which did not have a good performance, but also maybe because they were not really user-friendly, right? So I think it's very, you have to handle it very dedicatedly. But I also have to say, like when you were talking about also the media, conveying articles, conveying a certain picture around AI. I think last year was a lot of showing the capabilities and praising and like, oh, this is so cool. And I think towards already end of last year and now this year, we moved way more into creating, honestly, really also creating fear around certain parts of AI. And I think then publishing the EU regulation and putting this big focus on regulation stuff and the risks and so on. And, the reason why we have so many also negative news is because negative news are clicking better. Yes. And I think it's just, knowing that bias around this. And but in the end, this is what is reaching the people, in their homes. And I think that's also where a lot of, say, the over exceeding fears and concerns are coming from, and the skepticism is coming from, and too little on actually talking about what is the potential, what are, say, the opportunities, and also where it can help us facing certain challenges which are there and undoubtedly there, like demographic change, the lack of, say, skilled people in the next years, climate change, and so on. And I think too little of AI is focusing actually on trying to solve these tough challenges, and too much also, too much on, oh, let's create a super nice image, which is great. And I think the capabilities are amazing, but it's not actually solving the hard struggles.
it's for sure. Always, please also remember that the false news spread 6 times faster than the actual ones, than the correct ones. So it is also very much remember to memorize and to really filter out what you're reading in there, because probably there is just like whole, I don't know, scandal, hysteria about a field, but nothing to do with the actual things. Then let's jump to the next one. And then the next category is also, this is something that you might see maybe quite often working with the business side on their projects. Those are the people that they know something about it, but just a little bit scratch the surface. And therefore, they used to disregard everything what you will be doing in the future, why this is happening. So just imagine that, for example, you will feel like face and talk with a lot of people that are having, I don't know, degrees in finance, in economics, maybe in chemistry, in biology, and they're law, right, and like a lot of things in there, and psychology, sociology, and etc. Right, but there will be maybe, I don't know, project managers, and just kind of think a little bit about the question that all of those degrees at some point in the universities, they did have, I don't know, a little bit of maybe like statistics or a little bit of the mathematics, or for example, if you're studying economics, you will be in econometrics, and etc. Right, and therefore this is something what I've heard quite often, that such people, because they had this like a little bit of the courses in their degrees, I don't know, 10 to 20 years ago, they would think that this is the entire part of a data science, or they will take those 16, like 6 months courses, let's say in statistics, if it is psychology, and they will project it and generalize it over the entire data science field. And this is something a little bit different in here. And that is why they will tend to disregard everything what you will be doing by projecting their perception that they did in the universities by the entire field. And here, important to remember that, firstly, this is not their problem. As a data scientist, as professionals, we always need to understand and keep it in mind that we should not, under any circumstances, expect from the business side that they should or must know about a data science field, how it is constructed, what we're doing in it, etc. Right?
Throwing around abbreviations.
Yeah, for sure. I have goosebumps again because of that. This is also really important to remember that, and all the time, just as well as I have no idea about a law, the same kind of approach is applying here. And therefore, when you are doing the sessions with them or true fixes with them, you need to identify that they are from this category. And instead of, I don't know, getting anger or like whatever feelings you might have in there, you really need to take it as a very professional approach and educate those people. So, and create this life cycle around the projects that are doing them in the, I don't know, ML part, and really put in there some enablement process or some education explanations. So this is not the point where they will disregard you, but this is just the point when they have a little bit wrong understanding, and that is why they will disregard it. Yasmin, have you ever met this category of people that will do this, or will have these wrong perceptions?
I think, honestly, everyone has a little bit of maybe one of these types in ourselves. So I think no one is completely free from prejudice and bias, and maybe not being 100% open to all of the topics all of the time, and thinking because you heard XYZ or listened to XYZ podcast, now are completely informed, right? So I think that's also important to just know for oneself. We're never 100% free of that, but if you say spot certain behavior of yourself, also to counteract and work actively against that. I think I've met all of the three stereotypes in past projects and different organizations, even sometimes honestly in mentorings, where people after maybe a 3 months boot camp were challenging certain things. And I think a little bit of this challenging is a positive behavior, honestly. Because being challenged and like stepping back and thinking again about, is this approach really the one that is the way to go with? Hopefully you will come up at an even better solution at the end. So I think a little bit of challenging is healthy. Yeah.
Of course.
And what I wanted to say for sure is like, we're not trying to bash, business partners here or anything like that. I think there's the fourth type of stakeholder who's generally super open about the topic and who understands, hey, like, this is a big learning opportunity for me. And if I now understand how the solution can really help me, this is helping my job, this is helping the business that we're in. So I think actually the majority of stakeholders are belonging to this fourth type of being generally open, wanting to learn, wanting, seeing that opportunity. But it's like, again, as with the media, we tend to focus on the more negative experience, and put there a lot of our energy. So also this is something what I'm trying to say is, also the learning from enablement and adoption measures, and don't waste 90% of your energy on the 10% of people who are maybe are skeptic. Really also try to help the 90% of the other people who are maybe not as vocal.
Yes, definitely. But also, what I can say here, why we put a little bit of the time discussing these stereotypes, is that in my career, I quite rarely saw people that will be really, really open to the changes, to the adaptation of the AI, etc. And quite frequently, if not pretty much all the time, I would have people that I will need to educate and mentor a little bit, but this is something what I really love to do.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think that it's very much depending on, again, the organization you're working in, the kind of solution that is being proposed, the culture that you're working with, right? And the background of the people, as you said, right? If you're working with highly, highly educated PhDs for biology and so on, that obviously is increasing maybe the chance of people having very, say, concrete opinions about how solutions should look like, right? So I think there's no way to generalize on it, but that's why we wanted to give you like a little bit of the broad coverage for today. Yes, exactly. And one thing that I wanted to mention here, just to, also make sure you get your portion of theory today, is talking a little bit about the so-called technology acceptance model, or short TAM. So TAM is basically a very popular framework. It was designed in the 1980s already. It's not without controversies, but it's still a very, say, popular model for thinking about why and how certain solutions are being accepted and adopted and used when being developed. And I think the two core takeaways here are that there are two main drivers, which is the perceived usefulness of a solution, and the other one is the perceived ease of use of the solution, that are driving the acceptance of a model, or can hurt it if not done well. And maybe I feel like it's pretty self-explaining, but so the perceived basically usefulness is basically, is the feeling, is the solution actually helping me, and what is in it for me, basically that kind of point, right? What is the purpose of the solution, and do I judge it as being relevant or not? And the other one has more to do with the efforts that it takes to use the solution. So it's about the user friendliness, how intuitive the solution is working, what does the learning curve look like for using that solution, and so on. And just wanting to say that trust and building the trust can help both drivers here, because basically if people are understanding what the solution is about, and they get the feeling that there's a certain amount of transparency in it, and they also they understand what are maybe the objectives that you're trying to improve with the solution, I feel that this is definitely helping the perceived usefulness, because you're actually now getting what is the solution trying to do for you, and how it can help you, and also how can you interact with it in order to get to a better outcome. And same obviously with trust in the solution, which is maybe built through proper communication explanation, and so on, the solution will be better, will be having increased say user friendliness for you. Exactly. So that comes with better explaining, communicating, better documenting how that solution is being used, thus building trust and thus having an increased intuition around it. Yeah. So and there are also
Interesting.
say alternative kind of models for the area of AI concretely. And one specifically just wanted to mention, which is the trust-based acceptance model of AI, which is building the whole concept around why trust is important and delivers like perceived transparency, fairness, accountability, and ethical compliance, actually leading to better acceptance of AI solutions. If you're interested in the topic, I feel you can find a lot in your preferred search engine, or just maybe using a chatbot to get an intuition about what these models are about. But we cannot let you out of that episode without, giving you a little bit of theoretical background.
Oh, yes, definitely. And maybe just to summarize, because this is something was really new for me. For example, I have never heard about this. And maybe it's slightly connected to one of the also problems why in data science, I'm talking about the experts specifically right now, we do have a little bit of the problem of why we do have the challenges in the increasing trust in AI. And one of the reasons that I see in here is actually because we're doing this very, very much intuitively. And that was pretty much also one of the reasons for both of us, right? Why we also decided to put out this episode is because we were also both doing this very much intuitively, and we never knew what kind of actions or our, I don't know, like different skills led us to a very nice approaches that people would use the product. And just maybe asking you one question about the theory that you just mentioned. So it has two dimensions, right? The first one is the business person or team that is going to be using this product must be aware of how it will help them to close their problems. So as a solution.
That is the perceived usefulness, exactly. Yeah.
And the second attribute is going to be that it must be really user friendly, so very much intuitively to use for them, so they will not need to understand or waste a lot of time, spend a lot of time, to understand what to click in there, how to produce the outputs, and etc.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Let's give you concrete measures and actions that you can take to increase the trust.
Amazing. So, and I would say that we do have here two different kind of strategies how we can go through right now. So the first one is going to be more general, and the second one is going to be more, I don't know, like actionable. So what do you more concrete? And maybe we can start as the episode entitled today with the very much high level. I know, Yasmin, that you put this strategy topic in different also categories on a very high level. So what are in there for us?
Perfect. Yeah. So when I'm being faced with this challenge of having the feeling, here's like some skepticism at work, there's like trust issues, this is hampering the project progress and the success. I think the first thing that I would do is trying to figure out what's going on. And that sounds now way more easier, but maybe to make it more concrete, to say, what is the trust issue actually about? And here I would differentiate three categories, being, is there like a lack of trust in general around AI? Yeah. Is the lack of trust about the concrete solution at hand? Or is the lack of trust in me personally as my competence in my person? And there might already also be like a mixture going on here, right? But I think the strategy is about when there's general trust issues around AI, is really there's no way around, as you said, building fundamental understanding about what is AI, what is the data science area that we have to deal with about, what is the life cycle of such a project, how does a solution even learn, so why is the data quality important. So there's no way around building this fundamental understanding. And that's why I'm actually also, you can have different takes around the EU AI Act, but one thing I'm so happy about is that they put in the Article 4, which is the AI literacy article, which basically says if a company is using AI solutions, you also have to make sure that the people who are using the solutions have competencies around AI and understand what's, roughly going on. Because putting that in honestly really sets a clear expectation around that you absolutely have to train your people and you have to build those fundamentals. And this is going to be really, really also important for making projects successful. Then if it's about the solution you build, the trust issues, right? Going back to this technology acceptance models, what are the two main drivers and how can you, positively influence them? That might be putting out clearer documentation. We also gonna get to the topic of what is actually, if you're being faced with unrealistic expectations, I think we'll cover that later. But also maybe thinking about why would maybe a person perceive that application as problematic? Why might there be some questions open around the fairness or the bias behind that solution? And also, I think, as mentioned, some of the stakeholders might just have had bad experiences and frustrating experiences before. So making sure that you rigorously test and monitor the performance. These might be things that you could do to make sure that you are not, are detrimental to the trust. And if it's about you as a person and competencies, this can be super tough, as you said earlier. So I think the worst thing that you can do at that moment in time is, in addition, also questioning yourself, relating back to our episode on imposter syndrome, because we know that's hard. It's easy to then just follow the step and say, yeah, true, I'm not good enough to do that. That's very easy. So don't do that. Be smarter. But also maybe linking back to when you get feedback in general, it's also up to you to think about, are you accepting that feedback and do you want to change based on this or not? So only because you get feedback doesn't mean that you have to throw your life around and do everything in your power to change it. I think it's about also reflecting on that feedback and reflecting on why a person would say certain things, and basically just do your best to be professional with effective communication. Actively also listen to the people and what they're trying to say instead of just listening to counteract, and also just regularly updating on progress and doing with this feedback loop, showing incremental results. This is what I would do. Now, I
Amazing.
know that this was still pretty general, so I don't know, Kate, can you talk from your experience? What would you concretely do in such situations? How would you set up a project for success?
Yeah, definitely. And this is that was honestly one of the main parts for me for while I was preparing for this episode, because it's also really interesting to give you guys this information, and alongside with this, to learning something from my experience, because I have never even questioned what was that factor that I was doing in all of the projects that led them to being really, really successful for the business part. And I guess here, I already captured myself a couple of times when you were telling about the general structure. How would you approach that? That one of the key parts in here is definitely going to be trust, and the second part is definitely going to be the education. So pretty much what I'm doing, and it doesn't matter who the people are, we have already went through different prototypes of your stakeholders, right? And one of the most important part for me is that usually I would spend a little bit of my time and create 2 intro data science sessions for all stakeholders that I'm currently working with. And usually I will be doing this within 1 hour for each session. And all of those 2 sessions will be either for 1 week or for a couple of weeks. Let's talk firstly about the intro of data science. There, one of the main idea that you will be doing this is to explain what the data science is. On the very high level, what are the difference between different positions in the data bubble? So like data scientist, data analyst, data engineer, because usually people that are outside of this bubble, they would tend to have difficulties with these three positions quite often and frequently, mixing them up, right? And also one of the main parts that you will give them the applications of the data science as well as in your company and outside of the company. So they will have a little bit of the overview of the abilities of the data science methods and algorithms, as well as of the limitation. But one of the main parts, really main ideas for them, so after you giving this amazing, inspiring talk for the business side, they will go ahead, go back home, and they will still go through your talk, from your insights, from your presentation, and they will question their projects proposals. They will question, oh, maybe this is not even for data science, maybe it is specifically for data engineering, or probably it is specifically for data analytics. So you will give them this push to rethink and refine their problems. And therefore, with the already first stage, you will close a lot of questioning about a data science field, about what is that, what is capable of, what are the limitations in there. So this is 1 hour, and you really want to put in a very simple words a lot of understanding about the field, so they will go ahead and refine their projects. And that on the second part, it's more about the technical setup or a life cycle of the entire project, because this is something that maybe not a lot of people know if you're only working in tech. Business and tech have totally different approaches, how you would do the project. And therefore, they need to know the setup from the very beginning, the kind of the framework, how you're going to be handing them over and leading them to the final part. And in here, one of the most and key parts for me is to explicitly tell them that I am in need for a business person from that specific project to work with me hand in hand, being on every single job fix, because, which is really true, mathematics
So
can go
like a counterpart,
Yes, definitely. So when we're doing the job fixes, it will be me with the solution or steps and etc. And there will be one person from this specific project with their gut feeling in that field, with their business expertise. And what I was about to say is that because the mathematics can be sometimes weird, and you can perceive the project from your technical and applied perspective, but you have no time and, for example, for me, no interest to really understand all details about the business or about the project that you're working with. And that is why you will need that person in order to correct you in here. So, and in this part, all of those questions and concerns that that your automation will replace them, or that they will lose their jobs and etc., it will also fall apart, because in this session you will explicitly tell them that, guys, I need business side on the technical meetings with me in order to deliver the best project. So, and in here, one of the main skills that you will need to have, definitely communication, because you cannot explain as this kind of things as for them as people from math or computer science in the university. You really also need to be able to explain the concepts in the very simple way. So I know that one of the main skills of a data scientist is actually to, or like any developer actually, to break down a huge concept into like smaller parts in order to be able to implement them. And here you need to use the same skill, but in a different dimension, which is soft skills and communications. And then after those 2 sessions have been already applied and everyone is satisfied, you are going to work with them in the way of the job fixes. So I usually do a weekly job fix with every single project, every single stakeholder in there. And in those projects, you're not only throwing them the solution. No, you don't want to do that. What you want to do is actually to first let them know what you're doing. Second, explain step by step what has been done, what is going to be done also in the future. So you would have this a little bit of the pipeline. And also, sorry guys, this is something that I forgot. In the intro to data science, when you are explaining how it is working in the very high level, you also give them the understanding that they cannot ask you how the neural network is working or explain me back propagation or etc. So they will also have this understanding that in order to understand how the algorithm is working at this black box for them, one session is not enough. They probably need your education in order to get in there, as with every single degree. That is why we talk today a little bit of the different perceptions levels of the data science field, right? And also it's important to engage with them while those journal fixes and also educate. So if, I don't know, maybe as an example, if you will tell them explicitly why it's better to take median instead of a mean, it's a really simple question, right? You can explain that. Just draw, I don't know, distribution,
I think
etc.
there's very intuitive explanations for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so you need to engage, you need to educate them at a different, because they will definitely raise some questions. Why is that like that? And this is really a high level explanation that you can definitely offer to them, but also addressing the part in the first meeting with the intro to data science session that nothing can be really explained in the very depth in detail level. Otherwise, you wouldn't need being here in this place doing this for them.
Yeah.
So as a result, maybe just to summarize this part, as a result, what you will have, you will educate them. Every single fix is a little bit like one step up in the education, how you would do this, and etc. And step by step, as a consequence, they will trust you. And what I really love, if you manage to create and engage and get a trust from one person, this person, as you know, as a consequence,
your ambassador.
As your ambassador, definitely, as your like marketing person, is going to firstly use your solution provided to them, and that person is going to, let's say, infect a little bit the other people that are working with him when they are like, I don't know, in the coffee corner talking about different stuff, and he was like, "Yo, did you know what Jack did it?"
Influencers.
Yes, definitely. And this is something, this is not that I'm right now, taking those things from imagination or something. This is something that I really saw in different stages being done with the business guys. Mm-hmm. And if you manage just to get one person on your side, on the bright side, let's put it like this, from the dark shadows, they will go ahead and market your solutions and you as well to the other business guys. And those other business guys are going to use it. And this is going to be as how it is called, this effect, multiplication, I guess it is called. When it starts from one person, it just spreads. So
yeah, exponential increase.
Yeah, definitely. And here again, a little bit about the skills. Again, really important to have the communication, ability to explain in very simple terms what you're doing, and etc. And also, this is something that we have mentioned already today several times, be the expert and never let be intimidated by your stakeholders, because you're in there for a purpose, right?
So. Absolutely. I think what you've just explained, Kate, this is, you can really feel that this is talking from experience. So I think that is so actionable and great. And maybe one thing that I think is important, don't be intimidated. I absolutely agree. You have to position yourself as the expert and, to also, let the challenging not take over hand. But also feel it's very important at the same time not to give yourself as being that arrogant data scientist who knows everything and be, show them there's like this much gap between you and them. So because I think that is actually creating the wrong atmosphere. And I think it's important to make sure that you come across as competent, but not as this like intimidating person where you can't ask a question, because you want to have that atmosphere where people are feeling safe to also ask questions, to actually understand what's going on. Right?
Totally agree with you. And this is something what I also do. In the first slide, I would say enjoy and smile. Enjoy the process.
Perfect. Maybe my one last content question of this episode, because we know it has been going on for a while now, but it's also a very important topic. Kate, what are you doing if you've been faced with unrealistic expectations about the solution, about the performance of the solution?
I feel that this question falls into the problem, or like rooted from the problem, that people, again, having unrealistic expectations for me means a little bit lack of the knowledge, lack of the experience. Maybe those people have never even worked with the technical teams or with the technical projects, and etc. And that is why what I always do, as I explained already in one of my steps, is going to be definitely educating, explaining the capabilities of the AI solutions, explaining the limitations. And also, what is also very, very important is that when you are actually having the first working drew fix with your partners in there, you're not stopping validating their project proposals. What you actually want to do in there, you want to really redefine, and redefine, unless you can say, okay, this is feasible, this is something what I can do, those are the limitations, and those are the possibilities, and this is something how you're going to work with this. And also on that stage, I will create sort of a guidance for them, about a 10 questions guidance, where they can, again, when they're back at home, where they can go through this guidance and really see if their project falls under these categories. So how was that for you, Yasmin?
Honestly, very, very similar. So I think it's really about making sure that you explain why that are unrealistic expectations, trying to draw from past projects, trying to draw from industry experience, from other studies being going on, and basically making sure that they understand it's not you not wanting to have that performance, it's just not realistic or possible or feasible, and also letting them know what might be the root cause of that impossibility, which could also be like lying in data quality limitations, and them understanding, okay, in order to get there, we first need to sort out our data, right? So I think, not being, don't get too fast into this justification, but really thinking about strategically what is the root cause of that, like why do the persons are challenging that this is not possible, right? So, and thinking where this might root from. And I think with that, we have provided a lot of super nice, say, background, but also like strategic, actionable measures around this topic. And in order to lighten up the conversation a little bit, Kate, would you like to share one moment that mattered to you very shortly this month?
Yes, definitely. Honestly, that just happened yesterday. I was giving a talk in for Women in Tech conference that was part of the BSF representation, and I was pretty much talking about the power of diversity in different domains. How is that important for you to communicate and collaborate and network from people and experts from different fields, from different backgrounds? Like, I don't know, we do have a lot of data scientists, right, that are do have the degrees in astrophysics and physics and in computer science, mathematics. And this is something that I really seek the power, because when you are collaborating with so many people, first, you have a possibility to create a project with them. Second, if they're working in different countries, you do have a possibility to go to those countries and explore them. And the third part, you're growing as a professional in the sense that when you are working just with yourself or the people alike, you're going to be the same one person. But when you're working with 20 more people, or like 30, 40 from different categories, from different, like, I don't know, degrees, fields, but in the same tech, you kind of collect all of those knowledge. And instead of being you one, you perceive the different kind of personalities of all of them, and you become 30 plus one in this sense, which is really amazing. And also, I was talking a little bit about the women in tech. Why is that important for the girls to get into the tech field? So it was really like inspiring conversation with like a little bit of stats, and I received a lot of feedback, a lot of mentoring requests, a lot of stuff. So that is why I guess yesterday I was so high, like over hills, with emotions and dopamine that they gave me after the talk. I was not able just to sleep through the night, just always remembering. So how is that for you, Yasmin?
So, firstly, that was definitely more than 1 minute, but I forgive you, Kate. For me, and I'm trying to get it shorter now. Also this week, and also actually a very great speaking opportunity at the AI Week Frankfurt, which was a amazing, conference. Met again great people, but mostly connected to that, I had to really drive through Frankfurt inner city with my car. And I was extremely under time pressure because there was some traffic incidents. Like I was so late for my talk, honestly. And then navigating through that big city, of course, with like some apps also, but still, like I was being so nervous in that situation, and I was just so proud after everything worked out and that I came on time to the talk and it was going well. I was just so proud of surviving that experience and making it out, successfully. That was just really, really nice for me, and was being proud of myself today.
I'm also right now very much proud and also as one of my team leads said here, she's talking you do this girl, so you did it. That was really amazing.
Great. So with that, we hope you had a lot of fun listening to this a little bit longer episode. And if you can relate to this experience as a data scientist, do let us know in the comments, in the voice messages that you can also send us on Spotify. And we'd love to hear from you. Like, what is your, say, best practice against this kind of situations? Have a good time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This was Diaries of a Data Scientist by Yasmin and Kate. And if you enjoyed the episode, remember to check out our YouTube channel and our LinkedIn pages for more engaging content from the data science world. Thank you for today, and seeing you in the comments.